Okay, everyone, welcome to another Toon podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's original and best podcast dedicated to all things Newcastle United. We're here to talk about the FA Cup disaster, bit of transfer business, and we'll touch on the Leicester preview at the end. Tonight, I'm joined by Dimi, a fellow member of the most friendliest state in the world. How are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Bit scratchy this morning, waking up at 4:45 to watch that. But I probably should have expected it after our FA Cup history the last 10, 12 years, and
Yeah.
we'll probably due a downer. I mean, it's only the second game we've lost all season, so we've had a pretty good run. So we'll get into what it all means. But yeah, other than that, but being good, it's been a beautiful day down here, and like you said, the sunshine state of Australia. Let's call it that.
Yes. Voted the most friendliest city in the world, Melbourne. So yeah, I
Clearly.
was like you, mate. I was a bit rusty this morning. Probably had one too many cordials off the hardwood last night, and was a bit scratchy when I woke up, and things sort of didn't really improve after that, unfortunately. But we'll get into that. Just before we start, just a reminder to like, comment on the video or on our socials or stuff like that. Like the video as well. It helps us a lot with the algorithms of YouTube and stuff like that, or leave a review on your podcast service. Also memberships as well. They're still available. It's $1.49 a month in Australia or 85 pence a month in the UK. And our store's up and running. If you go to our website at Toon Under, we've got some stuff in the store if that's what you want to do. So, yeah, anyway, moving right along. It was a bit of a disastrous morning, I guess you want to call it. Losing 2-1 away to Sheffield United. I think most people thought we were going to win.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, shitty Wednesday. Apologies. Yeah, so I thought probably like most people were going to be okay, and they'll put up a good fight as a League One side will when the Premier League side comes to play them on their turf. But yeah, what were you thinking about this, Demi, before the game?
Pretty confident. I mean, it's a weird feeling now going into every game as a Newcastle fan. You're sort of expecting a good result these days, and historically we've been going into games expecting to be disappointed and expecting failure. But this season and in the last 12 months under Eddie, it's been a myriad of great results and positive performances. So I thought there were going to be a few changes, and that might upset the apple cart a little bit, but I still thought we had enough to get the job done, and unfortunately we didn't.
Yeah, I was the same. I expected changes, and I expected we'd still have enough to beat a League One side, but yeah, we didn't. So we'll jump into the lineups. We'll start off with the home team. I'd probably like you, mate. The only name that sort of jumped out there was Windus, and I thought it was Dean, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't him. I'm not even going to bother reading the team out because no one knows any of the players. Never probably heard of any of them before, except for Windus. That wasn't the Windus that we all thought it was. So, yeah, League One team. Apparently, they'd been on a bit of a run, like they're on a bit of a streak themselves. So. There were no mugs. They're not struggling League One. They're obviously right up there as well. So, yeah, this was all found out after the game that they're not as bad as what you think they are, but they're still a League One team. So we should be beating them. But I'll flick over to our team now. For those listening, it was Martin Dubravka made his first start of the season for us. Second game back. And he was straight at the starting lineup. Pope given the day off as well, not even on the bench. Darlow was the sub keeper. Manquillo, Lascelles, Botman, and Lewis, Longstaff, Anderson, Joelinton, Richie, Murphy, and the big dog, Alexander Isak, back for his first game. We'll start off with Isak. Were you surprised to see him start, mate, or were you sort of half expecting that?
I was half expecting it, to be honest, after the way Eddie was speaking, that he was close and sort of he's been training with the first team, and I thought they'd want to give him a run out against not to say Wednesday were going to be a pushover. Clearly they weren't this morning, but get him to stretch his legs, get a half, maybe 60 minutes into him against a lower league team, maybe get a goal, get some confidence up. That was probably the thinking around starting him, and hopefully you don't need like we'll talk in a minute, big Wood coming on in the second half. That didn't work out too well, but that was always, I think, to get the match fitness and get the cobwebs out, and probably Eddie thought against the League One side he'll have a fair bit of space and some chances, and he actually did have a few chances in the first half, but wasn't able to put it away.
No, I was sort of the same. I half expected him to start too after the Friday's press conference. Eddie was a bit bullish on him, I guess. He obviously doesn't like to give things away, whether they're playing or not playing, or who's injured, who's not injured, and stuff like that. But he did seem a bit coy on whether Isak was going to be featured or stuff like that. And I don't know. It was just a gut feel. I thought he was probably going to play. I didn't think he was going to start probably, but I thought he was going to be involved in some capacity just to give him a run out, like even if it was the last half an hour, get his legs under him again, and hopefully he can feature again against Leicester in the League Cup. But I suppose the big talking point, and it sort of started last night, I guess, for us, which was probably the morning of the game in the UK, was that the Twitter rumours going around that ASM had a bust up with Eddie Howe and he wouldn't be featured. Like it was a no reputable account. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it wasn't a reputable account. But as we slept, I guess, and we wake up and we start scrolling through Twitter, I think was it Craig Hope? I think it dropped that he wasn't. I think he was the first. He was the first one that said he wasn't going to be involved in the squad, and then the rumor mill really cranked into overdrive, and I think it was put to. I wouldn't say it was put to bed, but it was. Well, I think it was. It must have been it was a pre-game interview, I think, with Eddie, who had said that he was sick after training Friday, and that's why he's not involved in the squad at all. I might flick over to another little screenshot that I took off ASM's Instagram account. He just sort of put a picture up of the game and said, "Always behind you guys. I will be back very soon," with a emoji with a mask on it and a little flexing muscle. Take of that what you will. Those sort of stories corroborate, I guess, and but before that, once in between the rumours and then Craig Hope dropping the news that he wasn't going to be in the squad at all, Twitter fans were quickly to scour through just last week or 8 days ago, really. He's a tweet he put on New Year's Day. It read, "Starting off this new year, I wanted to thank everyone for the support and always believing in me through the good and the bad. As I begin a new chapter, I will give my all, as I always have, for better days to come. I hope you guys are ready. The best is yet to come." And in between that, probably an hour, I think, sort of time frame between the news dropping and the confirmation that he was actually sick, there was a lot of people reading into that. It wasn't what it seemed as you read it on New Year's Day with the information or the rumours that he'd had a bust up with Eddie and stuff like that. And I'll put my hand up. I sort of started reading it like that too, as in begin a new chapter, as in he wasn't going to be here for much longer. How did you react first, Dimi, and what did you make of his social media work over the his last week?
Yeah, he's a big social media exponent, let's say, and sometimes his posts can be a little bit cryptic. I didn't read too much into his New Year post in terms of new chapter. Obviously, the rumours started that he had a bust up. With Maxi, it seems like every few months there's a rumour about him either being injured in training or he's had a bust up with somebody. There's always some talk issue around him, unfortunately, and it probably stems back from his reputation back in France, where he did have a reputation of being difficult to manage and being a bit of a maverick, if I can borrow Mr. Pardew's term about old mate Hatam. So it was, you put two and two together, you get, in some cases, some people got four. I didn't read it that way, but yeah, obviously until Craig Hope confirmed that and Eddie confirmed that he was ill, you could definitely take it to the fact that a new chapter means he's been flicked away and he's about to be sold.
Like I said, there was an hour window where it really cranked into overdrive and the conspiracy theorists. But I think you take them on face value at the moment, and you take them for their word that he is sick now. I think we'll probably know in a week's time if that's in fact correct or not. If he's not involved at Leicester in a few days' time, off the Fulham game, maybe even the game after Fulham, because I'm just thinking he might have COVID, so that could be a week. So he might not be at the Fulham game. But if he doesn't feature the game after Fulham, I think there's definitely something else at play, and the Twitter rumour mongers might have been on the money from the start, or he might be gone by Fulham. If he's gone by Fulham, something's definitely happened. But I think this one won't be put to bed. I'll probably for another 10 days or so, and then we'll actually get clarification and stuff like that. But like I said to you earlier, I don't. He's the most polarizing player in our squad, and he probably has been the most polarizing player we've had for probably since Hadn't been after himself. I've made my feelings known on him. I think it's time for him to go. Probably a bit more harsher terms than that, but I don't think. I think we should cut our losses with him now. He doesn't seem to be sort of worth the hassle that he's seemed to be providing at the moment. And the reality is, he's probably our third choice left winger at the moment, because Joel Linton's playing before him, and Murphy seems to be the first one off the bench most games, especially if they're a tight game where we're either hanging on for a draw or trying to preserve a lead. So, and given our form, I guess that he's not really required at the moment, Dimi. How do you see his next, let's say his next sort of 6 weeks at the club? How do you think it's going to go for him?
Yeah, so I'm probably opposite to you. I'm a Maxi supporter, and I'd like to see him hang around. I definitely think there's a special talent in there, and somebody that can really help the team. In terms of how it's going to go, I think this January window is going to be obviously key, because if he's had a bust up, then I'm pretty sure Eddie will want him out quick smart, because we could use the cash if we can get a decent transfer fee for him. So I think if he's there by the end of January, that means the rumours were all rubbish, and he's going to put his head down and try and force his way in. People do forget as well, last year when we had that run, when Bruno first came, Bruno didn't play, I think, for 6 or 7 games, or he didn't start a game for 6 or 7 games. So, and clearly Bruno was better than the players that were playing. But when your team's going well and they're winning, it's hard to make changes. So,
Which is what's happening now.
Yeah, which is what's happened now. Exactly right. Plus, Maxi's had a couple of knocks or a couple of issues with his hamstrings and hasn't been fit. So, law of averages will say we might drop a few more points between now and the end of the season. So, there's going to be a moment, hopefully not, but there's going to be a moment that Maxi will be needed, and he'll get a run of games. And I mean, I know everyone keeps pointing back to that same Man City game that he played Man City off the park. He was untouchable that game, but
yeah,
he also scored a 1 goal at Wolves a couple of weeks later that saved us a point. And he hasn't been great lately. He's been injured, and that's been a problem. But I do think there's a player in there, and I do think we should keep him around, because a player with that sort of talent doesn't come around very often. And our team, like we saw against Leeds, we saw at times today, our team can be a little bit monotonous and can struggle when teams get a lot of men behind the ball. And he's that sort of something different that potentially you might need in an 85th minute, or even if he doesn't start every week, you're chasing a goal, half an hour to go, defenders are tired, bring him on, he might cause havoc. So I think he's definitely a valuable weapon for us for our push for European football.
The only look, I'm not saying he's no good. Like I think he's a very good player actually, and that Man City game proved that he played against one of the best sides in Europe and was the best player on the pitch by far that day, and gave bloody Kyle Walker nightmares. But the thing is that Man City game's a 1 in 6 or a 1 in 7 game, and the other 5 or 6 they're a 2 or 3 out of 10. Like sometimes he's shocking, and I mean that Wolves game, that goal was fantastic, but then he done his hammy chasing out that last attack, and that was what set him back on the injury trail. But one thing I think that sort of might work in his favor, provided he is actually sick and all that, is our lack of midfield. He could solve our lack of midfield depth by sort of taking back that left wing and pushing Joe back into the middle. And obviously, I think Longstaff would be the obvious one to shift out of there. But then we get a bit of midfield cover, because at the moment we've got 4 central midfielders and they're all playing at the same time, which makes it hard to rotate and things like that. So yeah, there is a chance there. There is a role for him there, but the ball's in his court, and he's got to try and force his way into that side. Now, being sick and unavailable is not really helping him, but yeah, the ball's in his court. But yeah, if it was up to me, I think it's not worth the trouble anymore. He's missing more games than he's actually playing, and we're at a point now where we actually need squad depth, as in players to play and rotate and things like that. So, yeah, that's why I think he should go. But anyway, we'll get into the game. Not so much the game. We'll just touch on the goals. It was 0-0 at half time. We had a couple of decent chances that we fluffed, similar to the Leeds game, I guess, where we did have some good chances and just couldn't put the ball into the back of the net. But then on 52 minutes, Sheffield Wednesday took the lead a little bit controversially. I'm not sure what player it was, but he sort of had the ball in the middle of the field. It was a fantastic turn to take Longstaff and Anderson completely out of it, and he turned towards goal and they were off. Played it out to the right and a quick sort of a pass into Windus, who beat Lascelles at the near post and put it past Dubravka. And then, yeah, the second goal, Bruno sort of misplaces a header. Joel Linton gets a bad touch, and one more Sheffield Wednesday player gets it, one touch through to Windus, who splits Lascelles and Botman as well, and he's through on goal. And to be fair, it was a pretty good finish. I thought Dubravka had no chance. But what were your thoughts on both them goals, Demi? I know you probably want to ride your axe out and start swinging at someone in particular. So what were your thoughts on both the goals?
Yeah, well, there not to blame, not to point fingers, but there was someone central to
pointing axes, not fingers.
Yeah, there was someone in the centre of defence who may or may not have been wearing the captain's armband this morning that was central to both those goals. But no, all jokes aside, they were both soft goals, and Lascelles the second goal got turned. It was a good through ball, to be fair, by I think it was Smith, their other striker. It was a nice through ball and quality finish by Windass, but Lascelles got turned way too easy and just couldn't cover and could not.
He was running on a. I thought he was on a treadmill trying to chase it. Yeah. Once he turned, I thought, mate, get off the treadmill. He was running on the spot.
Oh yeah, he was not covering that, and which is obviously not ideal, and really all game, not just to get back to Lascelles, all game he just doesn't strike you with confidence when he's around anymore. He seems nervous on the ball. He doesn't know when to press. I mean, there was a couple of times where he's trying to play offside when no one's trying to play offside. He plays his striker clean through, and there was a couple of moments like that where he just doesn't have the rhythm. Obviously, he hasn't been playing, which is not ideal for him, but doesn't have the rhythm. So, both those goals were sloppy. There was multiple players at fault. The second one, Bruno sloppy header, Jolinton sloppy touch. But I think it all stemmed from the lack of cohesion that we had in defence, which we've been having every week. We've been playing the same back four, back five for week in, week out and not conceding any goals. All of a sudden, we make 4 changes to that back five and everyone's sort of been pulled about everywhere. So that's unfortunately what happens when you change the back line. It can cause issues more than any other line in the pitch.
Yeah. Then, 4 minutes later, we peg one back through a Trippier corner that was flicked on by Wood at the near post, and the keeper sort of parried it straight to Bruno, who was also a little bit offside as well, who sort of fell at his feet and he toe poked it in to bring it back to 2-1. It was interesting, though. After that, I was watching the Liverpool Wolves game, and they had VAR for their game. I just think it's weird that some grounds have it or some games have it, some grounds don't. I think it needs to get to a point where it's got to get to a point where I think everyone has it or everyone doesn't. You can't. Then it might be hard in the third round with a lot of a few non-league teams in, I say Wrexham rolled Coventry as well. So they might not look that. That was at Coventry. So Coventry are a championship side, so they might have the facilities to sort of have VAR. But I think it might get to a point, whether it's the 4th round or the 5th round or whatever it is, that every game should have it. But I just found it a bit strange that we didn't, but some people did.
Yeah, I think they said before the game only the Premier League grounds were using it. Don't quote me, but I believe Championship and lower leagues don't use VAR until potentially the playoffs or the playoff final. So I think that's probably the reason why we didn't have it at Hillsborough. I mean, Hillsborough's not exactly a 10,000 seat stadium with rickety communications and rickety media. It's obviously a historic ground with probably decent media facilities, and so the reason was it was definitely only a Premier League grounds who had VAR. Obviously, it worked in our favour for that Bruno's goal, but their goal was offside too, so probably that cancelled each other out.
It wasn't it's not a knock or a criticism. It's just I think if everyone should have it or everyone doesn't have it until a certain point.
Well, exactly. You got to have a level playing field, because it didn't really cost us this morning because we probably didn't deserve to win because of our finishing.
100%. Not making excuses that we lost because we didn't have VAR, but there could be a stage where that happens, and it might be a League One team against us who get a bad call, and it's 0-0, and they should have scored, and it was 1-0, and it was given offside, and he wasn't offside, and VAR would have shown that. But I just think that it should be. It's either we're all in or everyone's all out. It's not some do, some don't. But anyway, moving on. We'll touch just the last chance at the end. Big Joe plays a beautiful ball through for Chris Wood, and he just fucked it. That's probably the best way to put it. I know I think he's sort of, most people are off him by now. He works hard, but he doesn't have the thing. But at the end of the day, you've got to realise, one, yes, he's a £25 million striker, but we bought him because that was his release clause. It's not we had to buy. We needed someone in straight away. We didn't have time to haggle a club over a transfer fee and stuff like that. And he was bought from the side second bottom in the Premier League with one of the lowest goals for, and a side who just would lump balls into him and he'd try and get his head on the end of it. Now we're basically the complete opposite of that team, and we fly directly in the face of his strengths, which is obviously trying to get his head on balls that come into the box and stuff like that. And that's not who he is. He doesn't suit the way we play, and he was bought as a must and a needs last week. And yeah, I don't know how. I don't think we'll get rid of him now in this January window, but it definitely I think in the summer we can get another striker in. I think his time might be up. How did you view the whole sort of that last, not the last, but that shot at goal, the last meaningful chance is probably the way to put it, and Chris Wood in general?
Yeah, obviously not ideal. Skying an open goal from about 8 yards out. Not definitely not ideal when we're 2-1 down to a League One team. But before the chance, I just got to say that Kieran Trippier pass first time was absolutely outstanding. It's the second time this season where he's played a ball. I think the last time was against Southampton where he played that ball for Willock to score. It's the second time that he's just been absolutely mesmerising with his quality on the ball. And just to mention again quickly for him, to have a right back to have the ability to do that is an absolute luxury. So kudos to Trippier. It deserved the goal that pass alone. But yeah, look, obviously Wood should score. He knows he should score. You could tell as soon as he's missed it, the rest of the game, you could just see in his head, his mind wasn't on it. He was still thinking about that chance for the next 10, 15 minutes. He was ropeable. Even after the game when they went to the fans to clap him off, you could still see his face cursing himself, saying, "How did I miss that?"
And not even test the keeper.
Yeah, exactly right. Just ballooning over the bar. It was awful finish. But to be fair to Wood, in this game, I mean, Anderson I thought had even just as good a chance that he had that save from a corner. Isak in the first half had a header from about 6 yards that he probably should have put in the back of the net. Murphy had another one where he was 1-on-1 and God knows what he was trying to do with chipping the keeper from there. He completely butchered it as he usually does.
Yeah, that's Jacob Murphy. We've come to expect nothing in that regard when it comes to him.
Exactly right. So look, Wood's definitely not going to be in our long-term plans. I think everybody knows that. Everyone at the club knows that. The fans know that. But he served his purpose when we got him, and he did a job for us that we needed to be done. He weakened Burnley. He helped us go on that win streak and have a good second half of the season. Even this season, he scored a couple of crucial penalties for us. Scored a goal away at Southampton. So he hasn't been rubbish this season, but clearly you can see his quality is not there on a consistent basis. And like you said, the way we play definitely doesn't suit the way he plays. And I think in the summer, once we probably get a few more players into that attacking third, he'll definitely be surplus for requirements and probably will sign for if not a lower league Premier League team, probably a top half championship team, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Nothing really happened of note after that, and whistle went. Eddie Howe's kryptonite was found out. I guess everyone's saying what's his weakness. Well, lower league teams in the third round of the FA Cup, that's his weakness.
2 from 2.
So yeah, so how? Just thinking of it as a game, like I was struggling to come up with my opinion, I guess, of where I was going to land with the game. Obviously, pretty disappointed to lose it. If anyone says, "Oh well," like, I'm not. I don't think it's. Oh well. I think you should be disappointed that we've lost to a League One side. I don't think it's something you can just sort of gloss over. How did you land on it once you sort of game had finished? You're probably pissed that we lost. Once you calmed down a bit, where did you sit on it?
Yeah, it's a weird one. Usually after a loss, like you said, pissed, ropeable. You don't want to talk to me for a couple of hours just to let me calm down. But yeah, exactly right. Not to condone that. I'm not a Kurt Zuma.
No, not that we kick cats off.
No, not with a good don't.
Yeah.
But no, look, obviously it's not good to lose, and obviously to lose to a League One team.
You go on.
Got me? Yeah, sorry. Obviously it's not good to lose. obviously not good to lose to a League One team on national TV in the UK, and that all looks terrible.
I forgot about
yeah,
that.
it's always us. We're always that Sky Sports Saturday night afternoon game against a lower league team. It's put us down for it every year.
Yeah.
So
And we
look,
play straight into their hands.
Yeah, obviously we're disappointed we lost, and it's our second loss of the season. It's not great to lose, but I'm not too down about it now. I'm sort of all eyes focused on this Leicester game, and if you think of it realistically, we don't have the squad depth to perform well and consistently in 3 competitions. So we're currently in the top 4 in the Premier League. We're quarterfinals of the League Cup. It would be a big task for us to say that we're going to have another big FA Cup run on top of everything that's going on at the moment with our squad and the financial restrictions. So there was going to be a breaking point where we had to rest a lot of players, and that sometimes causes issues, which clearly it did this morning. So at the end of the day, I think, it's not great to lose, but we need to move on.
Yeah. So, I was sort of similar. I thought, we definitely don't have the squad depth to fight 3 fires at the moment. What it was semi-finals of the League Cup, or quarterfinals, sorry, of the League Cup. So that's going to take priority over a third round FA Cup, because we're obviously closer to a trophy on that front. So I did think that this was the probably least important of the 3 sort of competitions that we were involved in before yesterday. And like I said at the start, I still thought we had enough to beat Sheffield Wednesday, but where I sort of landed was the players who had come in, like Lewis, Lascelles, Manquillo, Anderson as well, Richie. These are the guys who have either been on the bench for most of the year or haven't really played at all. Now, if it was a 1-for-1, like for say a Premier League game or something like that, where like it might be in a couple of weeks if Trippier gets another yellow card and he's suspended for his 5th booking, I think me and Keogh might be able to sort of fill in for a game because he still has that quality around him and the guys who have played together where we can sort of cover one spot. But when you're changing half the team out to players who haven't played and who aren't, apart from Isak, who aren't at that level of that. Look, let's be honest, they're a fair bit below the level of our starting 11. The writing was on the wall a little bit, I guess, when you sort of look at it in hindsight and reflection. I think, changing half the team to players that have barely kicked the ball. Oh yeah, like you can train as much as you like, but it's a lot different to actually playing games and stuff like that. And I mean, Anderson's had a chunk out with injury as well. Isak probably hasn't played for 3 months too, although he only played a half. So it's very hard to cover and be rusty again, like half your team. So they did have the diamonds around them, like Botman played and Dubravka as well. Like Dubravka's barely played the whole season too. So, I mean, there was plenty of guys who hadn't played, and to be fair, they've done their chances not very good to be involved for the rest of the year, given the performances. Who was your man of the match?
Very tough.
Should I? I'll rephrase that. Who was the least shittest player?
The least shittest player. I actually thought Richie had a decent game. I thought he put in a couple of decent balls. He was doing the Matt Ritchie thing, buzzing around. I think he was decent. Manquillo was half decent at right back. Probably those 2, I would say. Let's say Matt Ritchie just for shits and gigs, but I don't think anyone else really deserved it, to be honest.
Yeah. If we had to give a 3-2-1, I don't even think I would give it. I'd just pass this game and no votes awarded and to move on to Leicester. So given the game and like we just spoke about the players who would come in, how do you see the state of our squad at the moment?
Well, clearly not great when there's a few injuries. Clearly not great, and it shows that we don't have the depth to replace an 11 like a Man City would, or a Liverpool may, or some of the bigger teams in the league would. So I think it shows if we have a cluster of injuries, then we're in deep trouble.
Yeah, that's how I'd sort of view it. Like, if we get 2 or 3 injuries to our starting 11,
well, yeah, if they're all
out
at the same time, we're fucked.
Yeah, it's going to really put us a fair bit behind the 8 ball, I reckon. We'll quickly just we'll touch on the stats from the game here. Possession was 75 to us, 24 to them. They had 9 shots. We had 22 shots, which shows, our lack of finishing sort of coming to bite us on the arse again. 4 on target. We had 7 on target. What else do we have? Clear cut chances was only 2, and they had 2 as well. I'm assuming that their 2 were their 2 goals, and probably ours was the Bruno goal and the Wood miss. I reckon we're probably the clear cut. 11 corners to 1. They had 6 saves to our 2 as well. So, all the stats tipped in our favour. But are you starting to get concerned with teams who, or is that, what's the word they use? Low block. Are you starting to get concerned with the teams who low block us?
To an extent, I mean, we're still in this game and the Leeds game where we didn't take full points. We still had enough chances to win. I think the issue is for us that if our best players aren't in form on the pitch, then it can happen. We don't have the quality and depth that everyone's going to be a good finisher, or Miggy's not going to be scoring a worldie every week. So that is probably the concern. We don't have the depth and quality in the squad. The chances are still being created, but we don't have the depth and quality. So that would be the concern more so at the moment than the low block. I think we still showed this morning and against Leeds we created enough chances. So if the chances start drying up, then potentially we may have a bigger issue at hand.
Yeah. I think it's funny. Like, we always speak about Miggy's sort of first half of the year, and what about his goal against Fulham, or the Tottenham goal was the best goal? Like, even the Southampton one, like, he's having his own goal of the season competition, but like that's not sustainable. He can't just keep scoring.
No,
he can't keep scoring worldies like every week or every other week. Like, we have to be able to create and construct goals by passing and moving and breaking teams down. So hopefully Isak's sort of part of that problem. Who knows? Maxi part of the solution, I should say. And Maxi is part of that solution as well, where we can come to expect. I think we do have a favourable run of fixtures in the league coming up on paper, but I reckon you could bet your ass that these teams are going to come and low block at St James's Park as well. So we do need players like that, and maybe that's his ticket. Maybe that's Maxi's ticket into the side, where we can predict the teams are going to low block against us, and he can be that creative spark we need to just make something happen. And because once we score, we're fine. Where they have to come out and play and stuff like that, that's when one can turn into 3 or 4. So we just need that first goal to break the game open. But so we'll move on to the transfer window now. Disappointingly, we haven't signed anyone yet. I definitely thought we were going to sign 3 or 4 players in the first week of the window, but that hasn't happened yet. Joking. I didn't think that at all. News from we'll drop a bit of news from our, like, a self-interest point of view. We've had word down here that Garang Kuol's move to Hearts should be finalised this week. It could happen probably early in the week is what we've heard down here. most of you know, Demi, I'll let you speak about it. The connection to Hearts and how it's kind of unfolded.
Yeah, so obviously that move looks fairly nailed on. Obviously Edinburgh is not too far from Newcastle, which is handy as well. But there are three Australians currently playing at Hearts. One of them being Kai Rolls, who was also his teammate at Central Coast Mariners. So here in the A League, so that's a huge plus. And there's also two other Aussies, Cam Devlin, and the other one
Is it
escapes
Atkinson?
me. Oh yeah, Atkinson. That's right, Nathan Atkinson. He was also from the A League. So there's three other Aussies there at the moment. So that's going to help him settle in and get his teeth into
And they all went to the World Cup as well. So they
correct.
he's been together with them at the World Cup. So yeah, there's another link there.
Yeah. So it's going to obviously not to disparage the Scottish League. Obviously, it's a big drop off from in terms of Premier League football and SPL football, but
big drop off from the A League.
Probably is as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a drop off, but at this point, he just needs to get used to the British football conditions and get his teeth into a European league basically. So hopefully it goes well for him and he gets a lot of game time and by June, July he's back at Newcastle ready to impress for pre-season.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it sort of unfolds for him. But I think from a personal point of view, he couldn't have picked a better club for him for his first 6 months just to settle into the continent and acclimatise himself. Like we've got to remember, he's an 18-year-old kid who's probably never really travelled overseas before on his own. So it's a big step for him, and I think it's going to be the right move. But on other transfer news, given our squad limitations, I guess, and if the reports are true that we're probably not going to be that active in this window, might only be one to three sort of first team squad signings, I guess. What positions do you think that we need to sort of prioritize, I guess, in this January window?
Yeah, so I think we need another midfielder. I think we need another central midfielder. We don't seem to have a lot of depth. Obviously, with Shelby being injured, he's been injured for most of the season. We've sort of been playing the same 3 or 4 for the whole season, and touch wood, those guys have been fit and they've been able to play the full season. But the way we play, the intensity that we play at, they're bound to be a few issues in terms of injuries and fatigue. So I think another central midfielder is very important to get. And if you can be a quality central midfielder who's a potential starter, that's also a massive bonus for us. So I think central midfield is definitely one. And I think cover at fullback is I think another area we need to improve. We saw this morning how poor Jamal Lewis was. I thought at left back he was awful, and with Target being out for a few months, we've really only got Dan Burn. I don't think Dummett's an option anymore at left back. So I think cover at left back or even right back, depending on how Kraft's recovery is going. I think that they're probably the two spots we need to look for.
Yeah. So when you say central midfielder, the obvious one to me is the Tillman link, or the bid will be made, or they'll reject it anyway because he rejected it because he wants to keep his options open during the summer, and he can pick and choose where he wants to go. And it's hard because we don't know players, and who knows where they want to look like. We've got no idea what sort. So we won't really speculate on the fullbacks who could come in, or they might go a youth route. I'm more interested in what we do know, Dimi, and that's some players are going to have to go this January. Who do you think? This is a really delicate one for me, but I'm keen to hear your thoughts on who you think we should sort of be looking to offload this January.
I think the obvious one's Fraser. I think he's well and truly down the pecking order. He didn't even get any minutes, I don't think, this morning. And if he's not getting minutes in an FA Cup game where we're rotating 7 to 8 players, then he's well and truly down the pecking order. So I think he's definitely one that we can hopefully look to sell and get some money for. The other one I would probably look to try and sell is Matt Ritchie. I don't think we've got much use for him anymore. I mean, he's a good teammate. He's very passionate. He plays with a lot of heart, but I think we've gone past that sort of player. And I think if we can get those two players off the books, I think they'll be on decent wages as well. If we can get Fraser and Ritchie off the books, that will do nicely.
Yeah. I thought about them too, and I have read. I think Darlow could be one to move on as well. That we've got Dubravka back. I did read something on Twitter that he can't play for another club for the season. I'm not sure how or why. Did you see that?
Yeah. So I think is
that true?
Yeah, he can only play for 2 teams in a season.
What is that?
So he's played he's played for Man United. Now he's played for us. So if we sold him to somewhere in the Premier League,
has he played in the league for Man United? So it doesn't.
Sorry.
Well, surely you can play over. Maybe you can't play in the UK, but you should be able to play in Europe or something. Surely.
I think it's a registered club issue. It may just be UK. I'm not sure if anyone's looking at him outside the UK, but definitely in the UK he can't play for a third club in this season.
Yeah, right. Well, that's bullshit. Anyway, Darlow's out for me. We don't need.
He's done.
We don't need. Yeah, we don't need that. So he's definitely one out. Ritchie and Fraser as well. I've seen some talk around Jamal Lewis also being shipped off, but I don't think we can do that at this point. And Manquillo as well. But yeah, I don't think we can. We're not in a position to get rid of them. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to get rid of them players at the moment because of injuries to Kraft and Target. Now, they're both our probably third choice fullbacks in their respective positions, but I don't think ML will play this season, to be honest, with his ACL recovery. And I think Target, is a bit of an unknown with this heel injury he seems to have picked up. He's been carrying it for a while by all reports, and they don't really have a time frame for his return. So Dummett, like you said, he can't be trusted. His bodies can't be trusted. They're not going to get rid of him. He's only got 6 months left on his contract, so he'll just sit and bide his time and probably end up at Gateshead or something like that next season. But which is kind of annoying. But like we spoke about on this pod before, Jack's done a great piece on the website as well. That it's revolution, not evolution or evolution, whatever it was. It was evolution, not illusion. So yeah, and they have told journalists that any spending this window could potentially be taken out of the summer budget as well, which they probably prefer to do their business. But I do think we need to upgrade the first team in some capacity. Now, whether we sign first team players, it sounds stupid, but I mean, Botman for 30 million shows there are players who can be absolute quality and not have to spend stupid amounts of money. Like we might buy a $20 million players and only spend 60 for the window, which is probably not that much compared to what the teams around us are probably going to spend. Like Chelsea's already going bananas with their spending. Man City probably don't need to, given the strength of their squad. Man United have openly come out and said they need a striker and are looking to upgrade. Unfortunately, Liverpool have a ceiling, so they'll probably won't spend much money in this window as well. So that rules them out. And Tottenham Conte is sort of very cryptic that he sort of needs better players, but without coming out directly and saying, I need better players. So if we can be really shrewd, I think is the word, like we have been, especially last January. I think we definitely need to sort of get some first team bodies in, and that that could mean someone like a Longstaff sort of becomes a squad player now rather than a first team player, which strengthens the squad in general rather than buying sort of bench players for cover. I think we should look to buy first team players and create that competition and the ability to rotate and things like that. I'm not sure if you've seen this. I'm guessing you would because you're a bit of a Twitter nerd like I am and follow. Our friend of the pod, I think we can call him. If you've been on the pod, you're a friend of the pod now. So Kieran Maguire, a football finance expert, released a document, I suppose, is that what you want to call it?
Legal document.
You're the finance guru on this podcast tonight. Probably any night if you're on there. But so what essentially had happened is an anonymous shareholder has purchased a one share of the club for £14 million. Very savvy, I think, is the way to describe it. Now, I'll quickly explain. The same thing happened last January as well, where an anonymous investor, which was believed to be someone associated with PIF, brought one share, but it was for £40 million. Now, it was sort of reported that if shares were worth that much, the club would be worth like $320 trillion if everyone if that was the true value of the share. And so what had happened was I'd like to say sort of mid-January, someone had bought this one share for 40 million, and then the next week we went and bought Bruno Dan Burn and got Matty Target in on loan the next week. So it seems to be something transfer related. I'll let you speak on it, mate, because like I said, you're the guru when it comes to money. You manage it, you spend it well as well. So just explain to our listeners and viewers what's the purpose of this? Why has this been done for?
Yeah, it sounds to me just a pure capital raising, quick cash injection for the club. Now, we're putting two and two together, being the fact it's January, that's to buy players or to help fund wages or something along those lines, which hopefully it is. It also could be running costs. It also could be something to do with off field. Maybe they're improving the training facilities, the academy facilities, something like that. So it's definitely a cash flow injection for the club. Eddie's gym, I think his gym needs a toned down. I think his guns are just getting a bit too big.
He just wants a new bench. Yeah. He's
reckon,
outgrown the bench. He needs a new one.
Yeah.
Might be a sunbed. Tyndall might need another sunbed as well.
Yeah. Well, Castor already make tight clothes. I think their clothes are just, I don't think they've got enough.
They are.
They
stretch.
They do not stretch enough for him. So no, look, it definitely is a cash flow injection for the club, and it is curious the timing of it. Hopefully, for our sake, it is to fund one or two signings and to get those over the line in January. That would make sense, and obviously capital raising like this, selling off shares happens all the time for organisations. I mean, our local club down here did something similar when one of the shareholders sold his percentage last year. I bought shares myself for.
Oh, did you really? Were you one of them? One of them suckers?
I am one of them.
I'm
a shareholder. Richard Wilson. I'm a shareholder of Melbourne Victory. So yes. So I'm technically part of the.
I knew you were the guru.
So Victory did something similar last year.
A resident Kieran Maguire.
Clearly. So yeah, it is a capital raise for the club, and hopefully, like we said, it's similar to what we did last year. It's a sign of things to come in January.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be a case of watch this space. Now, I'm not sure what 14 million get you these days if it is transfer related, whether it's two players with an upfront payment of around 7 each, or if it's one good player with a big upfront payment. We'll sort of we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's one of them things where get all this sorted, get all your ducks in a row. So when they need to make a move, everything's sort of ready to just be very quickly move quick and get a deal sorted, get the player in as soon as possible. And I think that's why I'm just looking at it, because a similar thing happened last January, and a week later the players come in. So hopefully, fingers crossed for us, that there is something bubbling underneath, and we can sort of get a couple of bodies in, because there is a bit of a congested fixture list still coming up in the next sort of 6 weeks. So if we can get a couple more bodies in, because I don't think a Target or a John Joe will be back during this congested period. So if we can get a couple of other bodies in, that'd be really handy. We'll finish off. We've got a big quarter final, Demi. I think it's a Wednesday morning for us here, Tuesday night for our UK friends, against Leicester at home. War Flags have made a big, not a big plea, just a general plea. They're not really beggars. Everyone to bring their scarves to the game and have sort of scenes reminisce of Alan Shearer's testimonial. I'm not sure if you've seen that. Of course you would have seen that. What sort of stupid questions there? You probably watch the DVD once a week. But yeah, they were great scenes, because that was the first time it's sort of anything like that had sort of happened at St James Park, and I thought they looked great. It reminded me a bit our AFL fans when Kevin Sheedy waved his jacket against West Coast. Yeah. And that were great scenes. So hopefully they can replicate something similar in this quarterfinal and make it a really hostile atmosphere for a Leicester team who we sort of put away a couple of weeks ago as well. How do you think? We'll start off with Leicester. How do you think they'll come up and approach the game, Dimi? Do you think they'll play a pretty good team, or do you think they'll be half and half and with one eye to try and keep their league position safe?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, they don't have a big squad similar to us, so there's not too much they'll be able to do in terms of rotation, unless they're going to play full-on youth academy players, which I don't think he would. So I still think they're going to send pretty much the strongest lineup that they can, obviously barring a few injuries. I think Madison's still out. So barring him, they'll probably send as good a team as they can. I don't think they've got the luxury to rest and rotate with their squad limit. So I think we're in for a tough game. Obviously, it'd be nice if it's as easy as it was at King Power. That would be nice, but it's a cup game. It's different. It's different football. It's not a league game. So yeah, it'll definitely be rocking St James.
Now,
and hopefully we can get.
Go on, mate. Oh, it is. We're straight to penalties if we're still tied after the 90 minutes too, aren't we? Be no extra time or anything like that. Yeah. So I've just put together. I think, given our squad for the Sheffield Wednesday game, I think we're going to be chips in here. Like we spoke about earlier, we just whipped this up. I think we're going to go full strength on Tuesday night and try and get into the semi-finals. It's our best chance for a trophy this year, I feel. So, I think we'll go to our best 11, which is Popey, Trippier, Sharp, Botman, Byrne, Longstaff, Bruno, Willock, Almiron, Joel Linton, and Wilson. I think that's our best 11 at the moment. I think even if Maxi's just got the shits, or the gastro shits, not the cracking of the shits. I don't think he'll make the starting 11 anyway. So is that how you think we'll approach the game, with our best 11?
Yeah, absolutely.
Our strongest 11. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Eddie mentioned it as well, either pre-game or post-game, that he definitely had one eye on this game, which is unusual for Eddie to say.
I think it was post-game.
Yeah, it's unusual for him to say that. So definitely, I think we're priming ourselves for this game. You don't get many chances at Newcastle to get into a semi-final, so I think we need to go all-out attack for this one.
Yeah. We'll finish off. Have you got a prediction for the game, or is it a little bit too far away for your crystal ball to be clear with your prediction? Is it still a bit cloudy
No, I'll put my cojones on the line. I've got no shame, unlike someone else on this podcast who does fire grenade. Yeah,
fraud.
he does.
The coward. The coward. The coward can't even put his bloody photo up. What a coward in a
Exactly.
group chat.
He
He's got
is.
an animation.
Exactly.
What a coward.
He is. But no, I think we'll get the chocolates. I don't think it'll be as easy as it was at King Power. I'm going for a 2-1 victory.
All right, I'm going to go for a shitty game 1-0 win. I think they'll come with a low block, and I think we'll find it very hard to break them down. I think we'll have to we'll speak to the computer boffins, the other computer boffins in the group. Maybe we can just name this podcast the low block, and we'll see. Might be the apt title for it. But yeah, that I think that pretty much sums us up, mate. Have you got anything else you want to bring to the table or anything like that?
No, we're all good, mate. All good here. Let's hope it's another 15 games unbeaten for us after this morning.
Yes, that would be fantastic. To be honest, I'll just take winning the next one first, and then a bit of momentum going into Fulham. So, yeah, fingers crossed. This one was just a blip on the radar with the players who weren't prepared to play, and our full strength team will get the job done against Leicester, and it's a fantastic atmosphere, and we move into the semi-finals. So, yeah, thanks for joining me tonight, mate. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks, everyone.
Pleasure, mate.
If you've stuck it out to the end, appreciate that, whether you're watching or listening. Yeah, really happy that you join us. We'll be back. We've got hopefully a special guest lined up for the review of the Leicester game, as well as a Fulham preview. No doubt there'll be a few transfer stories kicking around the can between now and our live show on Thursday. So if you've got any transfer questions, it's probably now's your time to get him in with our guest. He's I'll give a bit of a clue. He's on the ball with that sort of stuff as well. He was pretty good for us in the preseason when the transfer window was open. Give us a couple of diamonds to work with. So yeah, implore you all, get your questions in on Twitter or even in the comments of the video for Thursday, our live show. I'm not sure. I think it's Bobby and me with our special guest. So be sure to join us then. In the meantime, Dimi, it's been a pleasure as always, mate. Thank you very much for your time. And
Cheers, buddy.
we'll catch you around. See you, everyone.
See you, mate.